welcome back to the Comic Lounge. Today's another sort of haul video, but this time this is not like last time or last week, whatever I last put up a video, which would have been the day where I bought free comics at a flea market on Free Comic Book Day. And so, since then, of course, I did the video about that, and I was only focusing on the stuff that I picked up on that day. Now I finally get to do the video where I pick up, at least show the stuff that I actually bought just prior to that day, and then stuff after, and especially today after going to a trip to Reno to visit Comic Kingdom, and I will eventually show you what I picked up there. And so, in total, what I have for you is 14 comics. I got 14 comics for you. And so there's quite a bit. So without further ado, let's get into these. So the first two I'm going to be showing you are the ones I received in the mail via eBay that were pre-orders, brand new release, brand new comics. Again, this would have been towards the very end of April. And so, again, you probably should know, mostly I've been, as far as when it comes to new titles, it's usually going to be Spawn. But besides Spawn, ever since, was it the last sort of haul video, whatever, where I showed stuff that I did purchase, whatever, prior to that free comic book video, whatever, obviously there was a new DC comic book series that had been released, a part of the Next Level initiative, and it's for a character that has been growing to become one of my favorite DC characters, and just favorite comic book characters in general, ever since really getting into buying the appearances and solo series for this character. And I'm talking about is Deathstroke the Terminator, and it's the second issue from the new series from writer Tony Fleeks and artist Carmine Di Giandomenico. This has been really solid. I've definitely been enjoying this one. I'll definitely be receiving my pre-order this month for number 3, and so it's just going to be so good. I'm very looking forward to the next issue, the third issue, which is going to have Deathblow and Deadshot. So can't wait. So they have it. Issue number 2 from the new Series 4, Deathstroke the Terminator. Now, speaking of Spawn, here we have it. Issue number 374. We're pretty much getting towards the end for not just Todd McFarlane's time being back on the title, but also for artist Brett Booth, who had went onto the title by 350, and so by 375, which I'll also be receiving alongside Deathstroke the Terminator number 3, and alongside another series, and I'll eventually, that's a bit of foreshadowing, by the way. Gotta put in some foreshadowing. Still, once I receive 375, that is pretty much ends out Brett Booth's run on the main Spawn title. So there you have it. I got a great Jeff Monk cover. I also got his first cover that he drew for Spawn, so fantastic. I love that one. That's it for the books that I received in the mail via eBay, that were pre-orders. Finally, now let's get into the stuff that I had been picking up in at the shop. So this again was purchased just way before the free comic book day sale stuff, and I was gonna wait off to buy more stuff, from the shop, whatever. Just wait to kind of see what Reno has, right? Whatever Comic Kingdom's gonna have. Well, you always get that itch, so I got the itch to really go back to the shop, and for some reason I had the itch to look through X-Men titles. Well, there was one X-Men title that I finally was able to find after all of these years, and I couldn't believe it. I found it now because of Uncanny X-Men 205. Not only is this considered a classic Barry Windsor-Smith issue, it is, I think, Barry Windsor-Smith's first real Wolverine story, whatever, definitely before Weapon X. But this is what really kicks off that whole Weapon X thing and Marvel Comics Presents. But not only is it, revered, whatever, as a classic Barry Windsor-Smith X-Men comic, or great Wolverine solo story, but it is the very first, was it the upgraded Lady Deathstrike issue. Now, I do have a copy of Alpha Flight number 33, but I definitely needed a copy of, well, I definitely needed a copy of X-Men 205. Now, I don't have a copy of Daredevil 197, which is the first appearance of Yuriko Oyama in general, her very first appearance. But again, Alpha Flight number 33 is the issue where she is given the name Lady Deathstrike. But this is the Lady Deathstrike issue. This is the one where she gets the adamantium, the claws, and everything. The true Lady Deathstrike. And that's one of the main reasons. And they had 3 copies. After all these years, they had 3 copies. And again, I paid $8, which is a little less than what it usually goes for on eBay. But again, bypassing all the shipping prices and everything. Still, according to them, this would be like an 8.0. But this could be a little higher. It's definitely a nice copy, so I couldn't be happier. So I just walked out of the shop with just this. And that was, I forgot what day it was, but it was definitely one of the weeks of April that I purchased this. So finally getting to show it. So really awesome. Now, speaking of that, after the day of the free comic book day stuff, because I was allowed those 12 free books, and especially for the fact that those 12 free books really almost should have came out to about maybe $50. I felt like I wanted to kind of prepay back in some way to the shop and still buy at least a couple big titles from them, a little more bigger priced issues to kind of make it up for that. Even though they don't really force you to do that, I just thought, the common courtesy of it. So I wanted to get more support toward the shop a little more. Even though, again, I am a regular of there, just that I wanted to kind of do something, just that, buy a couple really good ones from them. Again, I was just put on this X-Men kick. And so rummaging through the box of X-Men titles, they had some of these ones that weren't boarded up. Like bagged or boarded, not really priced to begin with. And again, there was at least a couple issues I've been thinking of for years, and I've been trying to look for. Eventually, somehow they ended up getting one of these, and I finally was able to get a copy of this one. And this is actually the first part in a storyline that I've always been very interested in. That be the Brood, which was Chris Claremont's sort of take on the Xenomorphs, from the Alien franchise. However, this does predate James Cameron's Alien, so I always kind of have to wonder who copied who. Now, you always can say it could be Chris Claremont that copied Ridley Scott, but the whole idea of really making the Xenomorphs more insect-like and more colonized, and really make that they add that lore to them. I don't know, don't want to insinuate, but still, Chris Claremont might have done it first. Either way, this was the first part in the main story. Now, I know there's probably a few issues before it that could be tied in. I know they do have a copy of 155, the very first appearance of the Brood. But this is the beginning of the big storyline that, climaxes by 166 and eventually does kind of continue 167. I'll eventually show you a copy of 167 here. Either way, this has been one I've been looking for, and it was a part of the storyline. And speaking of some Wolverine solo issues, it's 162, and it's a very nice copy. They had 2 copies. And again, these were not bagged and boarded up to begin with. And even for that, this was a fairly nice copy. Definitely bordering towards a really good mid-grade. Could be pushing it towards a high grade, but I mean, maybe with the press or whatever, it really could bring it up to a really good grade to begin with. But I'm not looking to grading these books. But again, for good copies, it's really good, and especially for a direct. So I couldn't be happier. And again, I paid $4 for this one. So I only paid $4 for 162. It's a really, really good bargain deal. Really good. So I couldn't pass that up. And so with that, since they had 163 to begin with, that was boarded up, and a really nice copy to begin with. They did have a copy as well that was not boarded up, but I wanted the one that was, since I knew exactly what this would have been priced at, and I was at least comfortable with. And so I was finally able to get this one. And that's 163, which again I paid $12 for. And given that, they do say they believe it's like a 9.6 for the condition. Maybe. It's definitely pushing it towards there, I feel. But it's a really nice copy. But this is the first cameo of Carol Danvers, originally Ms. Marvel at this point, and eventually she will be transforming into her next character phase. And I will eventually show you that comic real soon here. But again, this will be the first cameo of the character I'm about to show, which would, her first full appearance of this character will appear in 164. And so if you're familiar, you know what I'm about to eventually show here. So there you have it, 163. And that was on that one day. Then eventually they ended up doing a special buy one, get one free sale, whatever, special shop sale. And that was when I was able to pretty much jump in on getting some of the remainder of these Brood storyline issues, and that's when I was able to get a copy for at least $14, but it's a very nice, pretty decent, nice copy of 164, first full appearance of Carol Danvers as Binary. So, very nice. And again, for $14, this was one I paid for, by the way. Again, it was a buy one, get one free deal day, but yet you are allowed to at least buy two, get two free, you know. So I at least paid for 2 X-Men books on that day, but got 2 for free. And so this was the one I paid for, so I was totally fine with, you know. And it beats all the shipping and everything online. So this one I was very happy with finding. Definitely needed it for the Brood storyline. But again, it's just crazy when you get to these storylines. There's going to be some key books within there. You know, they do mix in the keys, and that can be a bit of an issue. But somehow they were able to get in one of the bigger issues. So that made it very, very easy to finally do, kill off. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You know, there you have it. 164. Finally, here we have 165, which is the beginning of Paul Smith's time on the title, replacing Dave Cockrum, who had went back to the title post, John Byrne, and then he ended his final period with, being the main artist on Uncanny X-Men. Ended with 164, and here Paul Smith takes over with 165. Just a great cover from him to begin with. Obviously, we got Storm transforming into a Brood alien, and that's just fantastic. Again, it does remind me of another cover that Mark Silvestri would do for Uncanny X-Men 1. It would be 234, one where Wolverine's turning into the Brood alien, where they the second sort of Brood storyline they would do in the X-Men. But this was the first one, and again, this would be like the 4th part in the storyline. Sadly, they didn't have a copy of 166, but after coming out of the Comic Kingdom, whatever, I went on to eBay and found a copy of 166, and I'll eventually be getting a copy in the mail, hopefully. I don't want to make that same mistake again. Either way, I'm going to be getting a copy in soon. Hopefully. Anyways, they did at least have a copy of 167, and again, I also didn't pay for this one, just like with 165. I didn't. These are the 2 free books. So either way, 167, definitely the true final part in the storyline. I know 168, which is the first Madeline Pryor, clone of Jean Grey, gets lumped in, but I think in many ways, this is where you can at least cap the story off right here. You probably at least can feel comfortable with. Still, very much a decent copy of it. They did have another copy there, but that was kind of bagged and boarded, but it wasn't really that good looking. It really wasn't that great, and they had one that was a little nicer. Still, the only issue is there's no lakeside tattoos, added in within the comic. There is none. So it's a bit incomplete. Still, getting it for free, I can't complain. So there you have it. Again, even if you can tell, even by the spine a little bit there, that's the only thing that's real, that give an indicator. Still, though, I'm still happy to have it. I really need it for the Brood reading to begin with. So once I get in 166, I am off to doing that, and that's going to come back real soon on the channel when it comes to October time. So give you a bit of a free sort of snippet into what could be the scheduling for my October video lineup. Now, finally, the other X-Men, because again, when it comes to the buy two, get two free, you needed at least 2 books to pay for, but 2 to get for free, so 4 books. So I needed a 4th one. Since they didn't have a copy of 166, I had to look for another. I kept looking around, finding another book to whatever that wasn't X-Men. But still, my mind was dead set on an X-Men book. I'm so in this X-Men kick. And so eventually, as I'm looking through again the box, this was somehow mixed in. And this is a bit of a key book. This is also a key X-Men book. Sadly, this isn't in perfect condition. There's plenty of defects on this book. But with that, I was able to get, I was able to get a good, or at least a decent deal on this book. So what I'm talking about is 139, which of course is, we're getting close to the very end of John Byrne's time on the Uncanny X-Men. Again, I paid $14 for this one, but because of the defects, and if you'll see, there's a bit of a cover crease, spine crease, whatever, across the cover, and there's a lot of some spinal damage. Even the back cover is really not that great. But at the same time, compared to most other copies I've seen, even around $10 on eBay, there's a copy that looks worse than this. So, again, I think I did to me, I feel like I did decent. Still, this is and again, a newsstand, this is still a good key book to have. This is not only is this the first, issue where Kitty Pryde officially joins the X-Men, but it's the issue where she is officially given the name Sprite. And so a first appearance of Kitty Pryde as Sprite, and this is also the very first appearance of Heather McNeil Hudson, the wife of James Hudson, a.k.a. Weapon Alpha, a.k.a. Vindicator, a.k.a. Guardian, Alpha Flight. So this is a Alpha Flight key, for certainly. And, of course, Heather McNeil Hudson, after the supposed death of James Hudson, a.k.a. Weapon Alpha, a.k.a. Vindicator, a.k.a. Guardian, which would be issue number 15 or 16 of Alpha Flight. By 32, she becomes the new Vindicator, and then by number 90, she then becomes Guardian, because after it's been revealed, he wasn't dead. He survived. And I have that issue, by the way, in my collection, number 90. I just don't have a copy of number 32. So I couldn't find that. Anyways, either way, it is a great key to begin with. It's a cool key book. In higher grade condition, this does go for a lot more. But because of the condition it's in, I got a pretty good deal, I guess, again, for it. So I couldn't be happier with having a copy of 139. So there's all the books I picked up here in town. Finally, let's get into the books I did pick up in Reno just today. So what I'm talking about are, since some of these are not major books, but they're in good shape, and some of these are good ones for me to fill out the collection, especially my Punisher. And so for $4 each, I finally ended out the top of the Kingpin storyline, which goes from issue number 16, which is a really nice copy, by the way, in a direct. All these are going to be direct, by the way, I'm about to show you. So there's Punisher number 16, number 17, and finally number 18. Great freaking Wilty Protasher cover of Kingpin. Obviously, just literally manhandling the Punisher. Of course, by the time you're probably watching this, the Punisher special, or the One Last Kill, should have debuted. And again, this just goes great with all the Daredevil and Punisher stuff, so it's perfect that I am finding these in really good shape. These are good, high-grade copies to my eye. These are really good. And so for $4 each, I couldn't pass on that. I really couldn't. So, coming up next, this one caught my eye. I was really trying to find some books to throw in that I could be like, okay, this would be really cool to add in. So this would be more of a cool filler, but this really has made me surprised coming back. But it's in really nice shape for $3. Here we have is A House of Mystery with I, Vampire, which is Andrew Bennett. Their sort of vampire character in DC. But, again, great Joe Kubert cover, by the way. But this is actually the real start, or at least it's like, I think 301, or 302, I think it's 302, is basically the real beginning of iVampire getting the main ticker title on the book, but this is, I would say, might be even more closer to being the first real, where it's he is the more vocal one, you know, because on the ticker you really do get, and again, even with that, really indicates this really does push it for it. And again, for $3 in really nice shape for a direct copy. Again, this does go for a little more on eBay, as I've noticed, but still could not beat that. So, really cool House of Mystery with iVampire, and a great Joe Cooper cover to begin with. So again, this is more from my horror collection, you know, horror book stuff. So, fantastic. Finally, to end out the video, I had a couple Vigilantes, since I've been usually collecting quite a bit of Vigilante. This one they had in really good shape, by the way. Very good. Barely a lot of defects due to the book, you know, quality to begin with. But number 47. This is pretty much towards the end of the run. We're getting close to the infamous final issue, number 50. But this is obviously the first meeting between Adrian Chase and, well, Batman. So this was a really cool one to get for $3. So Vigilante number 47. And for Dorian Chase, from his series that debuted in the late 2000s, we have this number 3, since I do have number 2 that I found in the, obviously, like the discount bin. Here is, again, number 3, in really good shape, also for $3. Actually, $2, by the way. It's actually $2. That's printed. Again, a great Walt Simonson cover, too, here. But, again, I still am trying to find the Nightwing issue where Dorian Chase, Vigilante, first appears in. So, there you have it. Number 3 of the other one. Again, Marv Wolfman, Rick Nardi as the artist. So, very cool there. There you have it. There's all the books I picked that I actually bought most recently from at least post or pre Free Comic Book Day and post Free Comic Book Day. So there you have it. If you've seen any title in here that you've at least have read or have whatever, you want to just comment all the stuff I picked up, again, you can leave your comments down in the comment section below. But if you want to stay connected, or at least stay with what I post on here, not only will it do me great, but it'll do you great in that regard, because once you hit that subscribe button, you'll never miss out on any new content. So with that, hope you all enjoyed. Take care, everyone.